It's 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 22nd, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion about those minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 5-0. All right, we have additions under new business. Hiring terms for Steve Frisk. Approval to apply for town planning grant. Commons.
Use.
Oh, okay. We lost it.
Request.
Request, common use request. We have a lot of members of the public. And I think we'll start. Try and get through as much as we can, starting at new business. I know it's out of order, but in order to get through everybody that potentially wants to speak, get this new business stuff out. And we'll move down. All right, so there should be one more. Sand quote, that's for, there's two here. One of them from Derek is 27.80 per cubic yard, and one from Zaluzny Excavation for $26 per cubic yard.
Is that for 4,500 yards?
Doesn't say on here.
It's per yard, there was no amount per se. When I spoke with him, I didn't,
What was,
I didn't-
it was 4,000 yards a year, right?
yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it doesn't give a total. I guess we could put that in and buy more if we need it.
Be nice to have them know what we want, what we're gonna need for the year, and that way they're not selling sand and all of a sudden we get 2,000 yards at whatever price. And
So Derek knows that, I think Derek knows that, but Zaluzny doesn't know the amount. I didn't say the amount.
Yeah.
So I guess the way to handle this is put up a motion for how many yards we're gonna need at least initially and award it accordingly.
I'd make a motion to approve Zaluzny's quote of 2,600 yards, and I would like to have them make us
Commit.
some sort of a commitment to the 4,000 yards that we need for the season.
Okay. Is there any, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
So you're saying you want to cap it at 4,000 for the season?
No, I want them, no cap at all, but we need to make sure that there's a minimum of 4,000 yards.
I see.
So that they are on board with 4,000 yards and then whatever goes from there at the price.
Okay, thank you.
So that it's not like, I think $26 a yard is what Zaluzny just
Yeah.
said, and, you know, we don't want them to think that we're gonna need 2,000 yards.
I see. Thanks.
So if they can't provide the 4,000 yards, then we need to go back to the bids.
Yeah. Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second? All right, wait a minute, we've done that. Is there any further conversation about this? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 5-0. All right, the next thing up. Planning Commission recommendations for generator.
I'm sure that there's a salt contract as well.
Is there?
Yeah, from Cargill.
All right, well, let's grab that first. Okay. looks of this says, salt delivery, 450 tons, estimated tons. To Rockingham, it seems like their contract. Doesn't it? It seems like they're bringing it in at that.
It says de-icer, salt, ice, $86 a ton is what I would guess, estimated 450 tons.
It's a little high, isn't it?
I don't remember what it was last year. I don't really think so. If sand is at 26 and salt's at 86, what would the road crew
I think
think?
it's comparable to last year, because it's false.
All right, well,
Do we need to look into last year's price before we,
I think it needs to be clarified.
So how many so this is saying that this year they would estimate 450 tons. Is that correct, based on what I'm reading here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Do we know how many tons we used last year?
Probably
Not really.
on that.
Neither one of us have been privy to that information.
well, maybe 450 tons is their cap for 86, but I think we need to look into it.
I know Steve said we did go over budget on salt last year, but
So
I don't
what,
know by how much.
Yeah, that was because they changed it all at the last minute.
I think we were over on salt, but under on sand last year.
Yes, that's right.
given that it's mid-September and hopefully, of course, snow is nowhere near. Thank you. And I know there's bigger conversations, but I'm wondering about some of these things in checking information from last year with this year, given some of the vacancies that we've got, and just making sure that we're ready to go for the winter. How the select board, like what our role is in supporting to make sure we're prepared, given that we've got a lot of town openings.
The only concern we should ask the road crew is, I know that the sand, when I spoke to those companies, they want to know yesterday. And I'm a little concerned that if we wait till the 26th to come back with the salt, that may be a problem.
Okay,
so I'd make a motion to accept the bid. We only have one bid, right?
yeah, it looks like it.
To accept the bid from Cargill at $86 a ton with 400, to not exceed $86 a ton with 450 tons accepted, and looking into what we used last year and maybe put it contingent on the amount that we need.
For the
So
salt
the
and the
eight-
sand.
Salt. So the $86 a ton, we only have one bid, so that's the $86 a ton. And the only contingency would be the 450 tons that we're getting into a contract with. So if we used 500 tons last year, we should get the 500 tons. If we used 400 tons and we want to stick with the 450, stick with that.
Okay,
I'm more wondering what we use this.
you have a motion.
Right.
Is there a second?
One second.
Okay.
I really don't know the motion, you have to restate it.
I would make a motion to accept Cargill's bid at $86, not to exceed $86 a ton, and go with the 450 tons contingent on whether we used 450 and above last year. If we went above, we should go with what we used last year and go from there.
So if I can just restate this, accept Cargill's bid not to exceed $86 per ton, contingent on the amount that we used last year.
Could you say for at least
Well,
450 tons?
At the 450, and if we use more than the 450,
Go
then we go higher
Okay.
to whatever we used last year.
Okay, any other concerns? Any other information? Hearing none, all those in favor of going with the Cargill,
Seconded, was it seconded?
I seconded it.
Okay.
with the Cargill provider for salt, signified by saying aye. Opposed? 5-0. Let's see here. Let's see, the Arch Bridge.
Do you know if there was more than one did we ask more than one person for a bid?
I believe that this was all done prior to Steve leaving, so I don't know if Steve contacted more than one contractor, but we only got one document.
The only other company I can think of is Appalachia, which was a company we used, what, 3 seasons ago?
Typically, we go with the state bid. Usually the state bid's cheaper, and I'm not sure if the state has awarded the bid yet.
I don't know if that means what you can ask.
All right.
And Appalachia, if you want me to look it up.
You can.
Yeah, there's a card in the office, I think, for
Okay, the next one, about the line of credit, that we're gonna work some things out before we apply for it. It's just, right now, there's a lot of things coming due, and these storm damage problems are just may bottleneck our ability. So I think what we need to do with that is put that on the table until we have figure out what we're gonna need, and then we'll come back with an actual figure. Any problem with that?
Nope.
Okay.
Can I just ask the road crew one quick question?
Yeah.
You were saying that I kind of remember the state bid from last year. Is that for the salt? Do you remember? Is that what you were talking about? You just said that usually we get a state bid and it comes in
Correct.
lower. I do remember that from last year. I remember Steve explaining it to us, and I wonder if we should try to figure that out. Because what if it's significantly cheaper than the $86 a ton? That might be, Rob, do you know anything about that?
I don't. I do know that if we have one bid, we've got one bid.
Okay. Never mind.
So, I mean, we can hold off, we don't, you know. All they're gonna do is either lower the bid if we reapply in 2 weeks, or up it, so.
And
Right.
it sounded like this was the state bid, and then the one in Troy, New York would be out of state, so
Miss Carville, you think it's a state bid?
it's within Vermont.
I don't even know if he put it out to bid. All I know is we got this contract, so I don't know how we got the contract. I don't know if there was a bid put out or not.
It's a little high up.
I know that Cargill was the state bid last year,
What
Okay.
was the state bid last year?
so
Okay.
assuming that they just sent us a contract.
Then I guess that explains it.
Okay. The next thing on the list is terms for Steve to work part-time on this disaster recovery. We'd use FEMA funds to pay his salary, which are, they're worked into the budgeting end of it. And because Steve is a part-time employee, we need to send the treasurer a direction that that's what we want to do. So, is there any problem with that? Wait a minute. You got it? Good. There we go. This is the agreement for services. It should be in your packet. the select board approves the hiring of Steve Frisk as needed to help the process with FEMA. Steve will receive $29.35 an hour for his services. We shall not receive any benefits. He should not receive any benefits. Okay. Any questions with that? And I'd entertain a motion to accept or hire Steve back as a part-time person to help with the FEMA situation. He did the last one 2 years ago, and before he left, put us in pretty good shape with what needed to be developed. So I'd entertain a motion to hire Steve for that role.
So moved.
Okay, been moved, is there a second?
Second?
All right, is there any further discussion?
Has anybody touched base with him of his availability to take this on, given
He's the
his
one that said that he would.
approach of resigning? And
He's the one that said he would help us. When he left, he said he would help us to
He's
do it.
retired.
This is also with him operating at home. He doesn't have to be on the job. So he can take care of his responsibilities and then
cool.
Okay. If there's no further questions, call the bid, or call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Yeah, okay, 5-0. This is all of us to sign. I'll send it down through. All right. Town planning grant. Is that gonna be you, John?
Yeah, we've got to come up with another town plan in about a year or so. There's going to be a document that needs to be signed by the select board so that we can go after the grant money.
Okay. When are you gonna need to submit the grant money?
Say that again?
When are you gonna need to submit this?
Well, I guess as soon as it's signed, we'll get it in process. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought there was a form here, but maybe you guys...
There is.
There is?
It's in the packet.
Okay.
So the question for the select board is, one, do you approve? And if you approve, we sign the form that authorizes them to file a grant. And then the second question is, who are the representatives from town?
Okay.
And there's some names filled in as suggestions that you would have to decide if you agree with that.
Okay. We're getting there.
It's Brian.
Do you have that version of the document?
you look for this.
Yeah, that's what I thought I had.
Back of
It's in the
packet.
back.
It's the second to last.
I guess my idea of going backwards was a little flawed.
Now we're getting used to going backwards.
Second from the back, huh? So we should be coming up on it. There we go. What do you know about that? Okay, so. Anybody have any questions about this? How often, John, do these come around?
8 years we do a town plan?
8 years?
Yeah. It's been 8 years.
Yeah, our hazardous mitigation plan, 35 years.
Is this $3,000 just total, or is it every year you get $3,000, or?
It's $3,000 towards the cost of writing the grant, of writing the plan. So they would hire somebody, they do that $3,000 to hire an experienced body. I think it's usually Wyndham Regional.
Yeah, mine.
So the $3,000 goes towards paying them to write the plan.
I think we have a line in the budget somewhere to help do that. We have to look it up, but to make that, it's raised to make that offset, the 10% match.
I make a motion to authorize the planning commission with John Evans as the chairman to apply for this grant, for the municipal planning grant.
Okay. One more thing to add. They're asking for my name on this and Katie's as an alternate to, I'm not sure what we are doing, but probably something interesting.
I think it's the role as select board chair and,
Board member.
well, it's,
Okay. So, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Just for clarification, did that motion include appointing Sherwood and Katie as?
No, it approved, it was for John.
Right, so I think you have to have it separate, thing about Sherwood and Katie.
Yeah.
I would make a movement that Sherwood Lake and Catherine Morrow act as the chief executive officer for this grant.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second? All right.
You have to abstain.
If it doesn't get a second, it fails, at least on that particular clause.
sorry,
I made a movement that Sherwood Lake and Catherine Morrow are the.
You've made a movement, or there was a motion on the table already, you would amend the motion.
It's a new motion.
Okay.
A new motion, after, because we've already approved that we're going to support this grant.
yes.
Sherwood and Katie are the chief executive officers.
Yes.
That was my motion.
All right, the motion's been made, and is there a second?
I will second that.
All right,
I don't think that's how it works.
what are you talking?
I made a motion
Yeah.
with John. You would amend the motion to add Sherwood, Katie, and Mike McConnell onto the motion, piggyback it to my motion.
Oh, got it. I thought we'd already
So
voted
you would
on your
amend,
motion.
you would amend my motion
I'm traveling town.
to
Okay.
add those guys to it.
I see.
And then we need a second, which would be you, and then we would
Yes.
vote on the motion, the amended motion.
And as the newbie, is there anywhere I can find this procedure?
It's
Robert's rules
Okay.
would be
So
one
we're
place to look
amending
into.
so Rob is amending the motion to appoint Lake, Morrow, and McConnell. Lake and Morrow as chief executive officers, and
Mike
Mike
McConnell
McConnell as the grant administrator. And Stevie has seconded.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Talking to you. Thank you.
You want?
All right,
Do what I can do.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. 5-0. Pass this down through, this will be our original. All right. John, just let us know what you need.
Okay.
The common use. This is for the Cub
Cub
Scouts,
Scouts.
and they want to use the common on September 24th, 2023. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Make a motion to allow they're from a certain spot.
West Wardsboro.
The West Wardsboro Cub Scouts to use the common from 2:30 to 5:30 Sunday, September 24th.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any question?
We're waiving the fee on this, I would imagine.
Yeah. And I'm gonna ask afterwards that if you want me to sign to approve it. So, who seconded the motion?
I didn't want
Do we want to make those two factors go in there? No, wait a minute, Rob would have to do that. The fact that we're waiving the fee and whether you want me to sign off for everybody.
I'm okay with you signing off to waive the fee for this.
Oh, we're gonna vote on it. Go ahead.
Oh, excuse me.
I would add to my motion to waive the fee and to have Sherwood sign off for the board.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's done. All right, next up. I think that's the signed pile. All right, let's go to, that's done. Now, we can do some of these things back near the top. We've done that one,
Which one?
done that one, that one. Okay, members of the public. Who has the first? Under members of the public who would like to speak for whatever project.
Irvin, what you got? Oh, go ahead.
Go right ahead. How are you, Lee?
I'd just like to speak on behalf of, a number of us are here to witness the opening of bids for the West Townsend Stone Arch Bridge project. So that would remove
Old business.
several of us from the road.
Okay.
The accepting, it's not the opening, the accepting.
Accepting the bids, okay. I guess we have to accept them, it won't be opening now.
Okay.
Accept them and send them, but Katie's got that. It's under old business.
Okay. Why don't you?
Okay. Are we doing that right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How many bids do we have?
one.
Oh, I guess we're getting easy here.
Katie, go ahead and just read the things.
Okay. The select board accepts this bid for the West Townsend Stone Arch Bridge Preservation Project. The bid will not be read, but it will be accepted and given to the Bridge Project Supervisory Committee. The Project Supervisory Committee will meet to review the bids and make a recommendation to the board on September 26th, 2023. On Tuesday, September 26th, the select board will hear the recommendation of the supervisory committee and vote to accept the recommendation of a contractor for the preservation project.
Okay, are they looking for a motion to be made on this, or it's just read out? Okay, all right.
Katie, you should read who has submitted the bid.
Oh, okay. This bid is submitted by Standing Stone,
Okay.
and they're from Chester, Vermont.
John?
I have a question on this bid business. Does the select board have to accept the bid?
No.
Well, the way it was just said, it was you were gonna open and accept it.
No, just accept it, John, today. It's gotta go to somebody else to be worked on before it can be read.
The way that I understood what she said is that we've basically received the bid, we're sending it back to you guys to review it, and then you bring your recommendation to us, and then we accept it. Is that right, Lee?
Or not.
Yes.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
correct. And it's going to be graded according to the criteria that are set forth and sent out in the RSP.
Okay. I don't know if we really have to have a motion for this, if this is what we're doing. I mean, we can certainly put it on as a motion that we accept the bid. What does everybody think?
We'll just make it easier. We accept the motion to send the bid that we have received onto the committee.
Why don't we do that then?
Second.
The exception would be, accepting the bid is contingent on them reviewing it and sending it back to us with their approval.
Okay, well then we need a.
Does that make sense,
I
Charlie?
wouldn't use the word accept.
Receive.
Received.
Well, it contingent
We aren't
on,
accepting anything.
No, but it's
Just
con-
receiving it.
Confirming receipt of?
Confirming
okay,
the
if,
receipt of.
sounds good. I like your wording.
Okay, we have a motion to
Confirm the receipt of,
confirm the receipt of this bid. We have a motion.
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none? I saw you move your hand. You're fine? Okay. Hearing none? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. All right, now, we've got one more. Fran Frawley, continuation, or continued request for road repair.
So we're on 8, old business?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I had hoped to bring all of the stuff, but it didn't work.
No worries. Sometimes I
sure,
just get
just so
lost.
you know, there's one new business item that you do not cover. That was one of the biggest.
All right.
For which, Connie?
But I do think we need a planning commission person here when we get to the one that we didn't cover. So you skipped over the planning commission's recommendation for a generator, and it would be nice to have a planning commission person here when we go.
It's right there.
Just making sure.
Yes,
So we
let's do
did
that.
the approval minutes. Sorry, I got, anyway.
We've done the hiring terms, we've done the planning grant, we've done the common use, and we're down to old business number 8, which we
Okay.
just did the preservation, and now we're on to Fran Frawley, B.
Okay, good, sorry.
I don't see her here. All right.
And she submitted an email, or there's a document here that she's continuing her request to repair the road.
And this is the culvert, right?
I don't know if it's a culvert issue?
It is.
I
Is it a culvert issue?
It's the culvert is on Taft Road, and the water from the culvert is going into her property. And affecting, I believe, her house. And she doesn't, I spoke to her on the phone a couple weeks ago. She doesn't live here year round, so comes back and it's a continuing issue that she comes upon whenever she comes back.
Any chance they're online? No.
No, there's nobody there. All right. Well, any suggestions on this one? Got the map going. I think we decided last time that this was a personal, private property thing, and that they would have to work that out. We can't change the direction of the river without, or the brook, without permission from Agency of Natural Resources.
I don't think it's a brook, I think it's runoff coming through the culvert.
Okay.
So it's
So is there
not,
any water up there generally?
I don't believe so.
Dry right now.
What's that?
dry.
Dry right now.
Right.
Has anyone seen it in action and seen it flooding into her property, or did anyone get to go look? Do we know? I thought Steve might have had gone down there, but I don't remember what he said about it, except that we weren't, supposed to go on private property to fix things.
I think that he said the last time that the road was 41 feet wide at that spot. Correct me if I'm wrong, 50 feet is our right of way, 25 both sides, and so that left somewhere,
24, 3, it's 3 rod right away, is 49 and a half feet.
so for easier mathematic terms, that'd be 50, but, so 25 feet both ways.
Yeah. But you
And
gotta
I think he said that it was basically very little off of the road is in our right of way, and that's what we tend to is our right of way area, not down into the woods and
If
off.
it's in your right of way, you better give permission, because when they can do it.
Do we know when the culvert was put in?
It's metal.
Do we know when?
Metal culverts were, state, I think, stopped doing metal culverts 10 years ago or more.
My guess would be when the road was built, and this is awesome, built that road, unless everything put it in.
But if you take wood and timber, if it's in the town right away, town's only got a right of way, they don't own that timber. That timber belongs to the property owner.
We're not talking timber, we're talking,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, we
so-
understand that part.
So if a metal culvert was put in on this property, it was at least 10 years ago, because the culvert is metal.
And I think that goes along with what her question was, because she does keep
Right.
asking about when was it put in
When
and
was
why?
it put in
And
and
I
why?
think she was under the impression that it was like put in the last couple of years, that it wasn't there before.
Yeah.
And it's there now, and I think that's
But
not true.
If it's a metal culvert, with this answer, it was, at least 10 years ago, which is part of, it seems like part of what the homeowner is
Town's
curious
acres
and
is
looking
different,
at.
the town owns that land.
Town owns what part of the land up
The
there?
land under the road and the 50-foot right of way.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, but we're not having a question about the actual traveled portion of the road. It's where the water comes down the lower side of the road, exits a culvert down the hill, it's blocked up and is creating, instead of going down the swale that it's supposed to go down, it's got leaves and debris in it, so it's spread out and going across the ground. So some of it's
so
going,
this on Taft Road,
But is it a driveway culvert or a town culvert?
it's a town culvert.
Huh?
It's a town culvert that goes under the road in daylights above her property or on the top higher point of her property.
That makes a difference, because if it's a driveway culvert, it's a property owner's responsibility. But if it's one that crosses the town highway, then it's a town's responsibility to keep
Yeah,
it open.
but until it gets out of our right of way, and then it's not our responsibility. Right?
Right. Yeah, because once if it goes down the road and doesn't do any damage, then it goes off 50 feet down the road,
My
not
question,
much the town can do about it.
my question would be to the road crew guys. Is this thing something that we created? Now, one of the things that they said when they were here the last time was that the road crew was working up there and then this started. Is this something that we created?
As far as I know, no. I mean, we clean the culvert and the outlets when they need to be cleaned.
How long?
From
since
what
you
I
cleaned
can
that one?
see, I've looked at it a few times, there used to be a swell that went down through the woods that keeps it from going to the house, and over the years, it's filled up with leaves and trees and everything else, so it's just, the water's just kind of spreading out over the property now.
Okay.
And that swale was on her property? Okay.
So it looks like she just wants an answer when and why about the culvert, so maybe Connie could call and just kind of relay that information.
Is this the one you talked to?
I spoke to her daughter, actually, her daughter's accidentally put her own cell phone number on that letter that Fran had written, or that she wrote on behalf of her mother. And so when I called it was her daughter, and I gave them the information for FEMA. I explained the process. I sent them the flyer
Yeah.
that we were told by FEMA to give to people, and I told them to start there.
Okay. Well, in all likelihood then, it was damage that happened sometime in the past that has changed the direction of that stream, from what I'm hearing.
First of all, it's not a stream.
It's just a
It's
really,
just a runoff,
Runoff.
runoff from the ditch.
okay,
And it has to go off somewhere. I mean, the hill is 3,000, what, 2 miles long from top to bottom? You have to have a culvert at some point to get the water out of the ditch. And it happens to be right above her place. And it was there long before she had bought her place, and might even have been there before the place was even put in.
okay.
It's just that we're getting more water now.
More
It's
supply.
more that she didn't clean the swale out on her own time, and now it's created a problem, so.
So from what I'm hearing, that there's really nothing for us to do with it at this point, correct?
Didn't they also raise the issue of ditching? It wasn't just culvert, didn't she? The woman that was here last
I
time
thought
said
that
it was
was
something
the-
about ditching, that the
Yeah,
town
that was,
put in a
that's what
ditch and that the ditch.
she was pointing at those guys.
Yeah.
But that was the back window person. That,
No, this was the other one that was stormed out.
I thought Fran Frawley didn't come to the
No,
meeting.
it was her neighbor Laura.
Oh, that, okay.
That-
No.
And I thought she said that the town put a ditch in that had
So
re.
the other day when I was coming down off the mountain, she stopped me. It was very unpleasant to say the least.
And
She was suggesting that we ditch the side of the road to convert the water around the house, but we'd have to go like 50 feet, and who knows what's in there. You know, she thought it was just something we could just go out and do, but the culvert now is a 90-degree culvert on the road, and when it exits, water exits the pipe, it goes straight down over the hill. So, like Rob said, the house was probably put in after the culvert was there. And over the years, it's just the debris and everything is just spread out, and she's not maintained, you know, a ditch on her property to divert the water.
all right. Not hearing anything different. It's still, what I'm hearing, still her problem, not ours. We didn't change it, and she didn't clean the mess up past storms.
Should we still answer her 2 questions? Like formally answer those number 1 and 2, and then the third one you just basically answered is that she was requesting that we fix the problem.
Yeah.
But at least for her 2 questions, when was the culvert installed and why was the culvert installed? I don't know if we have the why.
I would figure why would be the idea to keep the water from running from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain in the same ditch, which is gonna create more problems than it is than if you divert it and get it off the road and away from the roadway as
So,
fast as
like,
possible.
Over flooding in one specific area.
Wouldn't be over flooding if it's always been that way. That's just what it is. Right?
I had the impression that this was an actual stream, brook, whatever, and not the fact that it was just runoff. So, yeah.
What if we were to respond with something along the lines of, when the ditch was put in, we believe it's an original, not ditch, I'm sorry, culvert, we believe it's original culvert, which is the 70s or 80s when he was building houses up there. As to the why, we can't speak for why.
Gravity.
That period, but we do believe it's all about drainage of water.
This also probably had engineers back then that told them where to put them to.
Would guess.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's.
but the answer is basically, you're talking to people who weren't involved in the process at the time, so.
Could we offer a suggestion, or is that out of our scope to clean up our drain field?
I don't
guess as like a business,
I believe.
to somebody that, there's a business card.
Suggested
Has
what?
to hire, have her hire somebody to clean her ditch.
Yeah. I think that's an easy suggestion.
Why don't you use that as part of it? Okay. go on to the next thing. We got a letter, we're back up to correspondence. And I apologize, I thought it would work better doing it backwards, it didn't do it at all. HCRS, says on behalf of everyone at HCRS, I'd like to thank you and the residents of Townshend for their vote on town meeting day this year approving financial support in the amount of $1,100 for healthcare and rehabilitation services. Access Navigator program, we sincerely appreciate the support from the citizens of Townshend. These funds will help to ensure services for all your citizens who are in need of them. Okay? That's done. Valley Cares Walk. On the morning of September 16th, Valley Cares is holding a fundraiser walk. The route will be 1.5 mile loop on Grafton Road to Overhill, and the hiking trail that runs from the elementary school to Overhill from 10 a.m. to noon. People will be walking on Grafton Road between those two spots. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
What day was that again?
September 16th.
So this weekend.
I do believe that they have, if they're gonna be in the road for, in plugging it up, they need to have some sort of traffic, you know, like sheriffs or state police, I do believe. That's what we've done with the walk that Grace Cottage puts on. So if they're gonna be in the road too much, obviously if they're on Overhill and in the woods, it's not a big deal, but.
Yeah. Okay, any other comment? Why don't we send her an email to that effect, Connie, that if they're gonna be on Route 35, they really need basically some police support or somebody with flashing lights. Makes sense.
With the idea, I mean, if there's 5 people out there walking, doesn't really warrant flashing lights, but if there's 105 people out there walking, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done with Grace Cottage with their walk in the past.
And the horse thing and, yeah. Okay, please include the attached recommendation of the planning commission. All right, we'll do the planning commission thing next, and then I'll be able to clear the other two. Please include the attached recommendation from the planning commission to the select board for the next meeting. Okay, where is it? I don't think I have it.
It's in the packet.
Okay. Since this is the master packet, I should have it. Arch Bridge.
It'd be under.
There we go, I found it. Okay. The Planning Commission recommends that the Select Board pursue installation of an adequate sized backup electrical generator with an automatic transfer switch for the Townshend garage. The generator should be sufficient for emergency operations, telephones, fuel pumps, heat, properly operated and maintained, weekly testing, and follow manufacturer's maintenance recommendations for oil changes, filters, etc. They also want us to do the same thing for the town hall. You guys don't have a generator up there?
We do, but it doesn't run the doors or the fuel pump. So in a storm event, when there's no power, we have to go to a crew event for fuel and manually open the doors.
That's just a portable generator. I think it needs a carburetor too. It doesn't run good.
Okay.
Are you looking for us to ask the planning commission to come up with bids on this, prices? Or,
Well, let's put it this way.
I just think it's something that maybe should get put in place.
Yeah.
well, I mean, we would usually come up with a price before we just said, let's put it in place, so.
We have to find the money. We'll have to find the money for something like that.
Well, we don't need to find the money to come up with a price.
No, we don't,
Usually come up with a price and then find the money.
yeah. The process, John, that we've used in other things is we've had the person that's bringing this to the board's attention have the information when they're here. How much it's gonna cost, what did the electrician say, you know, that type of stuff. And then we have a couple of those and then we can accept it. The town hall is gonna be a totally different thing. Because of the electrical issues here, the town hall can't be run by a generator until the electrical system's brought up to code. I tried this 3 years ago, and when I got to the electrician, he said, I can't touch this place without bringing it up to code first. So that could be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. And it's just the name of the game now. So I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it, at least for the town hall, or excuse me, at least for the highway garage right now. Because it would be nice if they didn't have to pry the doors open to get their equipment out. I don't know, we can work on this. We can work on this. Is budget season coming up? Maybe we just flat out budget it when we have an idea how much it is. Okay.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Would we be smart to have you or the planning commission come up with a price of what it would cost to put either an LP or a diesel generator at the town garage?
Yeah, it makes sense. I would think I'd put it off to the guys working there a little bit, is what they want. You get it worked out, we get started. Let's get started on it. I mean, it's a process.
Do we need a motion to advise somebody to come up with a price or no?
No, I don't think so. I think we're all set.
Yeah, we'll get started on it. You know, just see what, this is, I think it's a big,
No, well, you're hitting it about right, because budget season starts the 1st of October. So we'll call the people in that we need to talk to about the individual budgets and come up, we'll use those prices that you end up with and put it in and see where it goes. They usually just, for the highway budget, they just sign off on it, so. I would think that it's gonna have to be quite a heavy-duty rig. This one that they wanted to put out here, when they were talking about it, thing was huge. Class C, I guess it was. But they couldn't do anything with it until it was brought up to code, so. All right, everybody happy with that? Any questions? Okay. All right, there we go with that one. Okay, let's move into the reports, or the warrants, I'm sorry, the warrants.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the warrants. Number 1, payroll, 8/27, in the amount of $12,242.58. Number 2, payroll taxes dated 8/27 in the amount of $5,433.81. Number 3, payroll dated 9/10 in the amount of $13,122.81. Number 4, payroll taxes dated 9/10 in the amount of $5,340.16. Number 5, general in the amount of $602.84. Number 6, general in the amount of $15.99. Number 7, general in the amount of $194.58. Number 8, general in the amount of $38,412.68. Number 9, highway in the amount of $10.50. Number 10, highway in the amount of $58,061.91. Number 11, highway equipment in the amount of $14,695.21. for a total of $148,133.07.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
I do have a couple quick questions.
Okay.
So looking at the number 9 highway, $10.50 for, when I look on this sheet, it says business card services. And it was, the Family Dollar. The receipt doesn't have itemized of what was purchased at Family Dollar for $10.50, which I know is like a tiny amount. But I'm just curious with the business card services. And then the next one,
Hang on a second.
Does anybody have an idea?
Do you have any idea what that's about?
$10 and
50?
my guess is, toilet paper or paper towels.
Oh, it's
Steve
the
used to
towels.
buy all our paper towels and stuff at Family Dollar.
There's your answer.
perfect. And then the general fund, so Bartlett Tree Care, so $1,120 this month for the trees on the common, is that right?
Yep. We do that every year.
Cool.
We had talked with them about 2 or 3 months ago and asked them to explain their bid, because this is all on a bid that they put out.
Yeah,
And it's for, I believe, fertilizing the white oak tree that they planted earlier in the year, and fertilizing the other trees,
cool.
right?
They have
Yeah,
a
'cause it
regular.
looks like there's a Boost app and a Forfight app, which is basically almost, it's like $1,100.
Fortifier.
What's that?
It sounds like a booster and a fortifier was applied.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what they were gonna do this year. Next year it'll be different.
That may not
That-
be within the budget though. You may go over budget on that.
do you feel like the tree, because I feel like I've seen that coming up a couple of times.
Well, it did. We had, it had come in at over the usual rate, and we sent it back.
We weren't sure if it was over the usual rate. We got a hold of Steve. Steve informed us that it was on a bid and it was comparable to last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when they gave us the bills in the past 2 months, one of them was to remove a tree.
Right,
They removed it, stump ground it, and then planted the white oak, and then they're fertilizing the other trees that are there.
got it. Yeah,
And I think there was $3,700 a year into the
Yeah.
trees on the common,
and
I
this
believe.
is Basin,
No,
no,
Bartlett.
Bartlett, right.
If there's
Yeah,
anything there
there's
for
some-
basin, that'd be those fence.
No, yeah, the fence. Because looking at the budget, you know, the trees, the common trees, they have a good percentage of the town budget.
I don't know, good percentage. I mean, we're like, maybe like,
We're over, if you're referring, we're currently over budget because we're at 60%, which we should only be around 28%.
but we also don't do anything with the trees from November, 1st of November to the end of April or May. So you're not gonna have any bills for 6-7 months in that time. And therefore, then you're gonna come back around and have May to the end of June, and then we're into a different fiscal cycle. So
Yeah.
20% right now doesn't mean anything to the 3,700.
Got it.
Okay, you all set?
Yes.
All right. We have, in the treasurer's report, a true fund balance of $1,653,887. In the actual checking account, we have $2,405,135.05, and $30,000 in the checking account.
Sherwin, we gotta finish the vote for the warrants.
We haven't?
We voted, we just had our discussion.
Oh,
We gotta
okay.
vote.
Sorry about that. Doing things backwards never works. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Sorry about that. So, I don't know if we've ever explained it to you, Phoebe, but what this sheet is what's available to us on a given day, usually monthly. The checking account always had whatever in it. We had no idea where it was going. What this does is breaks down the different liabilities that we have and income that we have, so that we know actually what we're looking at as opposed to the same static numbers. So that's what that thing is. All right. The next one, and let's skip this one. The town clerk posted $922 for the counter funds. And that is done.
You haven't done a highway report yet?
No, I haven't done the highway report. So, guys, you're gonna get thrown into the fire here. What we expect is bring the most important things that are going on. Like if you're doing a road, say, and how, if it's one of the ones that are traveled all the time, we're gonna wanna know, because people are gonna start complaining where you're at that. Or if you're doing ditching, you know, how much ditching you're doing. Nothing huge, just, we kinda like to know what's going on. So, what's going on?
As weather is permitted, I've been trying to bounce around with the grader, trying to
Fixed messes.
fix spots that haven't been touched since the July 10th storm. I've been trying to get around to some of these spots. And, today, or I think it was last week, I went up and graded the acres, and then we had that dry spell. And everything loosened up because it didn't have enough moisture in it, everything loosened up washboard. We had some rain the last couple of days, so I went and touched up the corners up there and smoothed that up. And I did Wiswall Hill this morning, and I did Deer Bridge this afternoon. I'm trying to bounce around, get some of these spots where we've had some complaints in the last couple of weeks, and while we've been working on finishing up the FEMA stuff.
Yeah.
And Jeremy and Brett have been going around cleaning culverts.
We just finished the little ditching project up on the acres. We're gonna concentrate on making sure all our culverts are clean for the next couple of days. And then I did a culvert inventory on the worst one. We have about 32 culverts right now that are failed or failing. So we have 13 sticks in the yard, which will get us about 8 done. We're gonna start replacing those as soon as weather permits.
Anybody else have anything?
Do we have an idea when FEMA's gonna come take a look at the material removed off of Westville?
I have no idea. That would probably be a Steve question.
I saw they were doing the armoring on Linden Hill today.
I believe they're done because I just went to the shop before I came here to get my pants, and the sign that we had out from them were returned.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Would Steve be helpful with, other than just the FEMA business? Could he be helpful with helping these guys? Steve, if he's got time, would he be helpful?
He has said that he was available, limited, for stuff.
So it doesn't have to just be FEMA stuff, it could be other things?
Well, we'd be predominantly working on the FEMA stuff right now, because the faster we get that done, the quicker that the money comes back to us. It comes back to us we won't have to take out that line of credit in order to make sure that we've got enough for the bills. Now, the last storm, July 2 years ago, with Steve, with Connie, working on it, you know, quite a bit, we were able to get paid back faster than most of this area. Matter of fact, I heard a comment from one board member in a different town that said, or asked me if we had heard anything from FEMA, and I said, yeah, we deposited their check. Well, why are you guys so, we haven't even started. You only got a certain amount of time, you know, and I don't know if they ever did get reimbursed for the stuff that they had. So we have a good crew working on this stuff when it happens.
To answer your question about Steve, I think Steve, from what I understand with talking with him, and maybe you guys know a little better, is that he's getting into something he's never been into before, as far as retirement, and then dealing with the other stuff that he needs to deal with. And if he is able to give more time in the future, he wouldn't so much be, you know, opposed to it. But for right now, he needs to get himself into his own little regimen of what he needs to do before he figures out what he can do for us. He needs to figure out what he's got to do for himself. So I don't think it's off the table that he might be able to help us out in some other directions, but I don't think it's something that is right there on the tip of his finger to come away from his property to help us right now. The FEMA stuff, he can take the stuff home and work on it at home at his, you know, when he has the time to do it. And I think that's kind of why we took him on in that regards right now. And if things come up later on and he feels he can help us out, we would gladly reach out to him and, you know, work with him.
Yeah, I look at Steve as being kind of a plus, you know, for the town, so it wouldn't hurt to have him around if he's willing, if he's sticking around.
I mean, did I explain that
He's got skill
somewhat?
about it.
Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's got most of the knowledge in how this works, so.
He has a temperament from what I can see. He seems to be able to handle things when they get a little rough.
When we have to submit all this stuff, I mean, yes, to go out and measure how long, how deep, how wide, and, you know, all the spaces that are affected. If one's, let's say one space on, well, we'll grab Wiswall Hill, it's got that particular problem. If there's nothing else up there and that particular problem isn't worth $3,800, they don't reimburse us. We've got to fix it. So the measurements and the GPS and documentation are a huge thing in these storms that we're going to get paid back. So, okay. Any other questions? Any questions for the guys? All right. We're going to have, go ahead.
Who authorized them to close the State Forest Road down?
Who, what?
That was the
It's
Green
Green Mountain
Mountain.
Power.
Non-power.
The update of the
They
utility.
can't authorize it. The select board has to authorize it if we're gonna close it down.
The select board.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
And then, if you wanna see a hell of a mess, just take a ride over there.
So,
They dug that ditch and filled it in on a, right, or they didn't dig it, but they're digging right close to the ditch, and you're gonna have trouble trying to clean them ditches.
so hold on, Irv, before we go too far. We've got an agreement with a contract in place with Green Mountain Power, already signed and so on and so forth. In the areas that they have put the wire in the roadbed, if there's any washout, if there's anything that has anything to do within, I think it's 5 feet of that wire, they're responsible for it. So what they're responsible for, in that being said, is if there's a washout, they either bring their contractor in and they pay for it, or they will reimburse the town crew or the town for them doing it, or the town can find their own contractor and Green Mountain Power will pay for that contractor. So what we have from Scotts Bridge to the end of wherever they're gonna bury it, just listen,
Yeah,
they take care of and maintain all of that and pay us for it if it needs to be done by us.
but
So-
what they take care of or not, you take a ride over.
We have a contractor.
They fill the ditches right in.
And part two of that is also the
And-
intention of this work is so that there's fewer power outages because they're looking to build the lines either in the road or with very specific above line, like as you go down
They also
the
put a
river
4-inch
so that you,
DS-35 pipe in the ditch, and it's just as flat, but you can just throw, if you got the downpour tonight,
Yeah, but this is what I'm getting
It'll
to.
be a
is
mess.
If we have a flood and it washes every single thing that they have put in there away,
you can't fill them ditches up,
yeah, but you're
not
not.
to have a goddamn road.
So if the road washes out, they're on the hook for it.
Not only that, we had a tractor trail, and we wanted to get down to the covered bridge today, and they had it closed, they wouldn't let them down through.
There's been a few complaints about
this was when the road closures were happening, that the tractor trailer, it was trying to get through the closed area, right?
But most places, you can't close a road down to 120 minutes if you're putting in, or a half an hour, if you're putting in a culvert or anything.
So
You
now,
have to open it up. You can't
So-
close it down for all day, and that's what they're doing.
What
so
I
now
can
that the road is open, is that problem resolved?
Route 30, they couldn't close that down all day. I mean, you got a delay.
So with the bridge and the work that they did up there, now that it's resolved, the road closures are open, it's open?
But I'll tell you that, there's gonna be a big headache at putting that fella on the road.
Irvin, I don't know what part of, when you sign a contract with Green Mountain Power, I mean, Green Mountain Power is probably one of the biggest entities in the state, so it's like, I'm pretty sure that they'll follow through with a binded contract with the town.
We're also hoping that the problems that come with the work will resolve some of the power outages that really inconvenience people.
And that
in these
tower
big
is supposed to be
storms.
a minimum of 2 feet underground, or else you gotta have concrete on top of it. And
It feels
I
like
didn't see
there's,
no burial tape.
yeah,
There is burial tape, there's red tape there. I mean, I didn't watch the whole entire process, but when I drove by, there's a roll of red warning tape right there.
They only got from the covered bridge to the top of that first hill in 3 days.
I'm happy that they're installing this new mechanism so that we might have fewer power outages as the storms get bigger, but it is an inconvenience.
I'm not worried about power outages. I look at it as they're gonna basically replace the culverts that are in the road on their dime.
That's another thing.
Can I take, hold on a
Did
second.
you, what? Did you, tell them what the minimum size culvert was?
We have an entire contract with them. A contract.
But did you tell them the minimum size culvert?
They're-
Because they had,
We
after
met
the
with
last
them,
FEMA thing,
we
they had to
drove
go up
around.
to, oh, it's 18 inch?
18 inch now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met
But
with
they
them.
come along and measure a 15-inch culvert then, they're gonna put a 15 back, or they're gonna put an 18. If you don't have it in the contract with them,
We have it in the that's what I just tried to tell you 5 times, is that we have a contract with them. And they're supposed to be following the Better Roads Grant, directions and
but you still have
applications.
highway specs, and if you don't specify it,
Rob and I had the amenity of
I've been
traveling
through this
around.
before over the years.
Sorry, never mind.
So what do you want us to do? Do you want us to tell Green Mountain Power to pound sand and we're not gonna put any of the
I
stuff
ain't
in the
saying
road?
that, but they can, if they were digging on one side of the road, why the hell can't they have alternate traffic on the other side?
Because they've never worked up there, and they don't know how sturdy or strong it is. They certainly didn't have the big things up there. So, I mean, it's.
In other words, the people that pay taxes and stuff, they can go fly a kite as it goes if they want to get to their place.
Like Rob has said, we have a contract for them to do this work. It's at specifications, at spec. So these guys are not somebody that are just in this business yesterday. They've been in it a long time. And I understand what you're talking about, but if they're gonna put it in, that whole hill, there's like, well, what did Steve tell us, 50 culverts that had to go up there? They're gonna replace them.
On their dime.
On their dime. That would cost us thousands of dollars to do ourselves. Do you know what the rate right now for a culvert is?
I'm gonna tell them I want my goddamn gas tax back, I can't use the road.
Irvin, I don't understand exactly what the problem with somebody using that road for a couple days isn't gonna inconvenience you and any of the people that you associate over there with for that big of a deal. It's like you're making a huge deal out of something that doesn't need to be. And it's just like, come on, you know? They're not gonna be there trying to hold everybody up, like intentionally. They're trying to do the job, they're gonna get moving along. We've got a contract with them. It's been in the workings for like the past 2 months, so anybody could have followed up on it and been right in on the loop.
We do have an email and phone number from Tim, I believe.
Jones,
Tim Jones, and he's the Green Mountain Power, the guy who's heading the project. He told us face to face if anybody has any issues or
The Green
recommendations.
Mountain Power guy ain't been there.
Yes, you
Would
are.
you be interested in contacting him?
Hell, I know who he is.
You know
But
Tim?
he wasn't there.
Well, you can give him a call. You
So
can give him a
for the sake of moving forward, it feels like,
I'm gonna tell you, this town's gonna eat that road before they get through.
sure.
And when they do, I'm gonna be on somebody's butt.
Hey, Irvin,
We appreciate all.
I know
that
this
you
how
offer.
it is, cause I spent 18 years in the road business, in this town. About keeping ditches and stuff clean, and you're gonna have problems. A 4-inch pipe right now, right in the ditch, and covered over so there's, what the hell's the water going?
The water pipe.
Thank you.
Right down the road.
All right, well, we're gonna move on. John, did you have anything else?
No, this reminds me of the old days. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, John.
Okay, we're gonna go into executive session, based on VSA 313, section B for personnel. All right,
I would like to make a motion.
go
Do I
ahead.
get to do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
That we
Go into executive
go
session.
into executive session
Okay,
second.
at 7:20.
all right, is there a second?
Is there gonna be a resolution?
Unknown.
Can we say yes? I feel like we need one, but
Unknown.
the select board, Phoebe will say, I strongly encourage that we come back with maybe a decision.
I'll give it a strong second.
Do we have a second? You have a second?
He's right,
Okay.
second motion.
I think you did.
To go to executive session.
Sorry.
And I don't know if we're gonna have a result
I'm forgetting.
outside of it. I'll leave it up to your discretion whether you wanna hang out. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All right, well. The select board has decided to hire Jeremy Zambruski as the new foreman, supervisor, whatever we're gonna call it, starting today. Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. There you go.